All right, we have more changes unfolding right now around the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, New York City. Changes that have major transportation lines about to break down as working class truck drivers band together to once again take matters into their own hands to set the record straight in their minds, to reinforce decency, to fix the mistakes of our ruling class, protest government overreach. We saw this happen back in 2022 in Canada with the Freedom Convoy protesting the Trudeau government over mandates. A protest that worked, forced major attention to an issue that otherwise corporate media would have ignored, and forced change. The same thing happened a few weeks ago down in Texas, where thousands of truckers did the same thing over the porous southern border, or tried to do at least. That event wasn't nearly as large nor caused much of a disruption, and therefore didn't force any change. But this time, things may be different, as this time truckers plan on protesting one specific area, the island of New York City, with only a few points of ingress. A city that relies on truckers to make their deliveries, to supply and haul their food, supplies. In fact, almost 90% of all everyday items get to New York City via truck. Not train, not boat, but truck, which makes this trucker protest notable and possibly very important. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. And consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss these regular updates. Also, don't forget to check out our new daily show over on the Notify America YouTube channel. The link's in the description. So truckers from across the United States, from LTL drivers in the general metropolitan area around New York to long-haul truckers from around the country, are banding together on social media, vowing to refuse any deliveries into New York City starting tomorrow on Monday. All of this started this weekend when a truck driver by the name of Chicago One Ray posted this video on his X account. This video has since gone mega viral, seen tens of millions of times, and reposted on other popular accounts. I'm going to play the video in full in a minute, because it's not just this video. This video started the whole thing. Right now there's like this movement that's grown all over social media this weekend. Truckers saying starting tomorrow on Monday, they vow to refuse any New York City delivery. We're talking truckers from all over the country. We're going to look at all of this, but just for some context, they're protesting the weaponization of our court system after a New York judge waived a jury trial in former President Trump's civil fraud case and then fined the former president $364 million on Friday. Ridiculous sum of money, a frightening sum of money. The judge also barred Trump from doing business in the state for 3 years and both his sons for doing business in the state for 2 years, all for allegedly, according to the AG, overinflating the value of his properties a bit to try and obtain better loans and terms on his loans, which makes no sense. Every real estate investor in the world does this, not lie about how much money you have, but put the highest value you can on your property. Nobody says, oh, my building's worth half of what the building across the street's worth. You always try and maximize the value of your property. That's just how it's done. And the bank knows this. It's why they do their own due diligence before writing the loan. They'll negotiate the terms of the loan. Eventually you come to an agreement. But what's so odd about all of this is that there isn't a victim in this case. Nobody went to the AG's office saying, Trump stole my money. The bank didn't lose any money. In fact, the bank testified during the case that the Trump organization was a great client and that they paid their loans back in full and on time. So what was the point of all of this? Did the Attorney General open this case looking for a crime? That'd be a bit scary, wouldn't it? If the government can just point to you and say, I don't like you, so I feel like investigating you. Digging through your life, subpoenaing every business transaction you ever did to find something they can charge you with. Is that what happened? I don't know. But we do know Letitia James, the AG who brought the lawsuit, said this during her campaign for Attorney General. Watch this.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
I say one name, Donald Trump. That's should motivate you.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
So look, whether you like Trump or not, it's immaterial. What they did to him in this case is wrong. They can do it to him, they can do it to you. It's got nothing to do with politics, and that's what these truckers are now saying. They know what happened here, and they're upset by it. This isn't a political thing. Every real estate investor knows this is crazy. Before we look at what these truckers are planning on doing tomorrow, just real quick, watch Kevin O'Leary, someone who is definitely not a Trump fan, not a political pundit, just a regular business guy, a real estate investor, give his take on this. Watch this.
You've been doing real estate for decades. Does this case strike you as odd?
Well, let's leave out Trump for a minute, and let's leave out politics and just talk about what happens in real estate development anywhere. So if you're a developer and you've got a building on a block anywhere in America and it's worth, let's say, $500 million, and you want to build a building right beside it, you go to the bank and say, this building is worth $500 million. I'd like to borrow a construction finance loan against this asset, and I want you to tell me it's worth $500 million too. And the bank negotiates with you and says, well, no, we think it's worth $400 million, and you fight it out. You're always trying to show your assets in the brightest light with the sunshine you can possibly determine for them. You want them to be worth the very most, because you're only going to get a 40 or 50% loan to value, as it's called. Then you borrow that money. In the case of a $500 million asset, maybe you get $250 million, and you build a new building with a construction finance loan. And so that's what this case is all about. And by the way, forget about Trump. Every single real estate developer everywhere on earth does this. They always talk about their asset being worth a lot, and the bank says no. And that's just the way it is. So in this case, when I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not pro or con, or I don't care about the politics, who lost money? Nobody. The bank got paid back the construction finance loan, and a new building was built. And if you're going to sue this case and win, you got to sue every real estate developer everywhere. This is all they do. This is what they do all day long, every day. So I don't think this thing will ever survive appeal, regardless of what the fine is. This doesn't even make sense. Now, look, I know Trump's got a lot of problems in other indictments and everything else, but this, if you're a real estate developer, you're watching this, you're saying, what is this? This is ridiculous.
And look, the banks themselves even said they had no problem with the numbers that the Trump organization gave them. And if the bank had wanted, they could have required Trump get the building or buildings reappraised instead of taking his word for what he believed the value to be. Anyway, so this is where we are, right? The Trump organization now has to pay this crazy fine, $360-something million, a massive fine. Is that intended to force him into bankruptcy? I don't know. It just strikes me as crazy, and regular truckers from around the country agree. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, all this began with one truck driver who goes by the name of Chicago One Ray, who posted this video. It's about 2 minutes long, but has since gone mega viral. Watch this.
Hey folks, your old pal Chicago Ray. I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes. And I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from Southern Wisconsin. And they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday. All right? I got about 3 drivers that I drive with. They already vibrated the boss and told them they ain't going to New York City. So, I don't know how far across the country this is, or how many truckers are going to start denying loads to going to New York City. But I'll tell you what, you look around and find out. Okay?
Now, other large influencers and huge X accounts started reposting and sharing the video as well. And now there's truckers posting photos of themselves with their rigs. We're talking like thousands of these, vowing to refuse any New York City delivery. And Boycott NYC is like trending right now. Hundreds of thousands of posts about this on X. Now, will this all catch on? Will enough truckers get on board for this to be effective and send a message? It remains to be seen. We do know Canada's Freedom Convoy in 2022 absolutely did. It created an international incident. It was so successful and resulted in the Trudeau government enacting the Emergencies Act for the first time in Canada's history to forcefully remove the blockades, especially the trucks that were near the Ambassador Bridge that connect, I think, Detroit to Canada, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, Justin Trudeau is still dealing with all the repercussions of how he handled that, as last month the federal court found the Trudeau government broke the law by freezing protesters' bank accounts, and like the whole response that they did was just unconstitutional, the court said. But this is a bit different. This time the truckers won't be forming any blockades. Instead, they're just refusing to take loads destined for New York City. Again, there's no way to know yet, how effective it's going to be, but it has the potential to cause mass disruptions for New York businesses and residents on the island. If deliveries don't come, how long until stores begin to run out of items before shelves start going bare? We'll keep an eye on it. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Also, don't forget to check out our new daily show over on the Notify America YouTube channel. The link's in the description.